Off leaks? You can't check it unless you're in the car, right? You gotta have your foot on the brakes.
Why?
Ain't no pressure.
No, because you can see if there's any
Ain't no pressure up to
yeah, you can see if there's any cracks or anything.
Okay, let me put it to you like this. Let me put it to you like this. The truck has 120 pounds of air in it, but we just shut the truck off, so it's full of air. So can I check that hose for leaks? There's air in the system. Should I be checking it? Is it correct for me to say I'm checking this hose for leaks?
No.
Why?
It's not coming out.
Why?
There's no air coming out.
You gotta have your foot on the brake.
You have to foot on the brake.
Why?
To apply pressure.
Pressure. Yeah, the pressure builds up in the pedal.
What if I just go in there and push that yellow button in? Can I check it for leaks then? Jason, you want to help him out?
Those are service brakes.
Service brakes. So when do they get air to them?
When you apply the brakes.
So if I push the yellow button in and I take my pocket knife out and I cut that line in half, what's going to happen? Nothing.
Kind of like that story you told. Yeah.
Nothing. Remember I said, remember this moment?
Yeah.
Remember I said that? This is that moment I told you to remember. Nothing happens. That is a service chamber. Remember, on the steer axle, we don't have emergency chambers. There's only service chambers up here. When the air pressure drops below 40, between 20 and 45 psi, those buttons are going to pop out because the tractor protection valve, there's not enough air pressure to keep those big springs caged up. So when there's not enough air pressure, the spring pops out, tire locks up. We do not want steer tires locking up at 70 miles an hour. You understand what I'm saying? So that is a service chamber only. Therefore, that's why there's only one line going to it, number one. And number two, that's why I can't check it for air leaks. Unless I do what?
The air leak test.
Okay, which requires me to do what? You guys have already said it.
Do what?
Put your press the service brake. That's the only time this line gets air going to it, is when I step on the service brake. Okay? Make sure you guys know the difference. Don't be in here saying, I'm going to check this for leaks. Then I'm going to ask you, well, what kind of leaks? You're going to say, well, air leaks. And I'm going to say, well, you can check that for air leaks right now? Oh, yeah, I'm listening for air leaks. I'm not going to give you credit for it because you don't know what you're talking about. I've heard all kind of stuff. I've heard brake fluid. I've heard engine oil. Someone told me water one time. Grease, I think I heard. Checking for grease leaks out of that hose. Brake fluid was a real, I couldn't believe that. Checking for brake fluid leaks. I said, really? Show me the master cylinder then. If we got brake fluid, that means we got a master cylinder, right? That means we got a brake fluid reservoir somewhere, right? So they started looking all around the engine compartment. Well, I don't know where this one's at, but I'd be checking for brake fluid leaks.
There wouldn't be no rubber lines.
It's an air system, people. It's air brakes. There is no brake fluid. Make sure you know the difference, okay? So, what I'd like to hear from you guys is something along the lines of this. This is my brake hose. I'm checking to make sure that it's securely mounted at both ends, where it goes into the brake chamber and where it comes out of the chassis. I'll check it for signs of any dry rotting or weather worn or cracked. Now, I can't check this for leaks right now, but if my air system had air in it and I was full of air, I could go inside, perhaps press that yellow button in and have my partner step on the brake, supplying air to this service chamber, and then I could listen for air leaks. But as it sits right now, I can't really check it for leaks because I don't have any air going into the line. That's what I'd like to hear you say. That means I know that you know what you're talking about. You know the difference between a service brake and an emergency brake, and when they get air and when they don't get air. Okay? Moving on to the brake chamber. I'm going to inspect this brake chamber to make sure that it's securely mounted. It's nice and tight. I'll check to make sure that the clamp that goes around it, this clamp right here, see that clamp? That goes all the way around the brake chamber. Brake chamber is like a clamshell. It keeps the clamp holds the two clamshells together. So I want to make sure that that clamp in there is securely in place. It's good and tight. I'm also going to inspect the brake chamber for any signs of cracks or dents in or damage of any kind in there.